The old lighthouse keeper, Silas, had a peculiar habit. Every night, just as the first star pricked the velvet sky, he'd descend the spiral stairs, not to tend the lamp, but to whisper to the sea. His voice, a gravelly tide against the crashing. Waves was a soft litany of names: Ilara, Finian, Maeve. The villagers, accustomed to his eccentricities, paid him no mind. They knew Silas was wrestling with specters, not of the house, but of the deep. The lighthouse, perched precariously on a rocky outcrop, had always been a place of melancholy. Generations of keepers had lived and died within its echoing stone embrace, their lives punctuated by the relentless howl of the wind and the chilling embrace of the fog. But Silas's sorrow was different. It wasn't the quiet despair of isolation. It was a raw, exposed wound, bleeding into the salty air. His gaze, perpetually fixed on the horizon, held an unnerving intensity, as if searching for something lost, something that refused to be found. One tempestuous evening, a storm unlike any the coast had ever witnessed descended with a ferocity that shook the very foundations of the lighthouse. Rain lashed against the glass of the lantern room like 1,000 tiny fists, and the sea churned into a monstrous foaming maw. Silas, usually a pillar of stoic calm, was a whirlwind of frantic energy. He paced the lantern room, his shadow dancing wildly with the flickering lamplight, muttering incoherently. The villagers, huddled in their homes, heard the unearthly shriek of the wind, but also faintly carried on its gale a desperate, mournful song that was not entirely human. The next morning, the storm had abated, leaving behind a bruised sky and a landscape of shattered driftwood. The lighthouse stood, battered but unbowed. Yet, Silas was gone. His oilskins lay neatly folded on his cot, his pipe rested cold in its ashtray, and his worn logbook was open to a fresh page, entirely blank. A wave of unease washed over the small fishing village. Silas, the hermit of the lighthouse, had vanished, as if he'd been swallowed by the very sea he so often addressed. A search party was organized, brave men venturing into the treacherous waters surrounding the outcrop. They found nothing. No sign of struggle, no debris, just the vast indifferent expanse of the ocean. Days turned into weeks, and Silas became another ghost story, another whisper in the wind, to be added to the lighthouse's lore. The new keeper, a young man named Thomas, arrived with a mixture of trepidation and grim determination. He found the lighthouse eerily silent, the air thick with an unidentifiable sadness. Thomas, unlike Silas, was not one for solitude. He'd brought his wife, Clara, a woman with eyes as bright and clear as a summer sky. Clara, however, felt the oppressive weight of the place immediately. She'd wake in the dead of night, convinced she heard the faint strains of a mournful melody, or the whisper of names on the wind. Thomas, pragmatic and dismissing her fears as the overactive imagination of a lonely woman, tried to reassure her. One particularly foggy afternoon, Clara, restless and unsettled, ventured down to the rocky shore, a place Thomas had warned her to avoid. As the fog swirled around her, disorienting and chilling, she heard it, the faint, familiar melody Silas had sung, interwoven with the rhythmic pulse of the sea. She followed the sound, her heart pounding, to a small secluded cove, hidden from view by the swirling mist. There, half submerged in the tide pools, she saw them, 3 delicate iridescent shells, each one shimmering with an otherworldly light dot as her fingers brushed against the cool, smooth surface of the largest shell. A vision flooded her mind. A young woman with eyes like the sea, holding a crying babe. Then another, a boy with unruly hair, laughing as he chased a seagull. And finally, a girl, her hair the color of moonlight, gazing out at the vast ocean. Silas's litany. Ilara, Finian, Maeve. They were not names he whispered into the wind. They were names he had given to the souls he had lost to the sea. And then she understood. Silas hadn't been haunted by ghosts. He was the ghost. When the storm had raged, when the sea had threatened to claim his solitary perch, he had finally rejoined them, his essence dissolving into the waves, a final, mournful embrace. Clara, holding the shells, felt a profound sense of peace settle over her. The sorrow that had permeated the lighthouse wasn't a haunting. It was the echo of a love so vast, so deep, it had become one with the ocean itself. She returned to the lighthouse, the shells clutched tightly in her hand, and the mournful melody no longer sounded like despair, but like a lullaby. The lighthouse, she realized, wasn't a place of haunting, but a monument to an enduring, spectral love.